Hi guys, and welcome back to Pixel Cherry Ninja's channel. In this video we're going to have a look at an upcoming custom firmware, a beta release, beta 9 to be specific, for the Anbernic RG ARK S, which is the model that only has Linux, not the dual booting one. I have the single one and that's what we're going to have a look at. It's nice. There's plenty of betas coming, and with each one improvements come. So if you want to grab this, it should be available in a few days, and it's usually posted over on the Retro Game Handhelds Discord. I'll leave an invite link to that Discord in the description of the video. Then you want to head over to the Anbernic section, RG ARK and S, and if you go in there, it's usually pinned up there. If you can't find it, just ask in chat, and the guys there are very friendly and helpful, and they'll kind of point it out to you. But what we're going to go over in this video, we're going to kind of have a look at the firmware like you're seeing on screen now. I'm also going to go over the release notes of what this new beta is bringing, and it's definitely headed in the right direction. I've been following this the progress of this custom firmware, the beta releases, since almost the beginning, because you know, I said to myself I'll never get another Anbernic handheld after getting the RG35, whichever one it was, but I couldn't say no to this. The 6 face buttons, for anyone that's a fighting games fan, honestly, this handheld is a must. It's just so much fun. I thought the Analog Pocket was the ultimate handheld, but you know what, the Analog Pocket lacks in controls, so this one delivers on the controls. But you guys kind of know that already. Now if you ever want to install a custom firmware, I've got a dedicated video on that on the channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description below as well. So if you're installing any new firmware, what you see there, even though that's for an earlier firmware, the principle still applies. I also would like to point out and give a special thanks to Tech Toy Tinker Company. They're over on Discord, and they also have a YouTube channel. Check their channel out. They'll be showing the beta there once it's publicly released, or once it's available on the Discord. So they're a solo developer. They're working on this by themselves. They've also got a Patreon, so if you're happy with the work and you want to support the guy and his work, check out the Patreon link. Everything will be in the description. So what does this bring? So I tested it out briefly. Now I want to apologize about the footage. We don't have bright and sunny days in the UK in winter, man. It's very, very grim, and I try and do my videos in natural light. So I actually filmed this at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It kind of started off okay, and during the course of me filming the video, it started to get darker and darker. So what I'm doing at the moment is I've still got my vanilla firmware that came with the ARK S, and I keep that memory card handy because sometimes I just want to put it in and all the button configs are correct for Street Fighter. It's not the greatest firmware. You can't make changes to RetroArch on there, and there's a lot that I dislike on there, but I've still kept that around because until this is fully released, until we get version 1.0, it's just nice to keep it around. And generally I tend to keep the original firmware around in case I run into a problem and I want to play something. But this is becoming the definitive choice. With every update it gets better and better, and it is what I use because I like to adjust stuff in RetroArch. I know how to use it. I want the full RetroArch, and I want to make changes in there. So let's have a look at some of the release notes that came with this update. So beta 9, I'm going to read through them. Hopefully I won't sound like a little kid trying to, you know, get his reading star in school. So here goes. Point number 1 is add hack workaround to fix HDMI. Users must navigate to system and then advance and select HDMI on. The device will make the needed changes and then shut down. Connect the mini HDMI cable and then turn the device back on. When using HDMI, there is no OpenGL issue. All systems will work. Simply switch Naomi Dreamcast Atomisware to using RetroArch instead of RetroArch 32, and they will work as intended. The same is true in reverse. Go to system and then advanced, select HDMI off. It will disable and power off. Unplug HDMI before booting. If you turn it on by mistake, the screen will be sideways. Press start and shut down, then remove the HDMI cable. Do not unplug it or you will have issues. Okay, so there's specific notes. So when this is out and you want to use a HDMI cable, just give this a good read so you fully understand it. So you know to plug it in first, plug it out first, whatever you want to do. In fact, this video, I was actually hoping to use this feature. Unfortunately, I ordered it on Amazon, and for the past 6 hours, every time I check the app, it says it's 5 stops away. So I get the feeling that the Amazon driver lives a couple of miles down the road from me, and he's taken a long break before he resumes. But it did say it'll get here before 10 p.m. and I'm currently doing this voiceover. It's 4:45. So that was point number 1 anyway. So point number 2, for anyone that's Taiwanese, our Taiwanese buddies out there, well, good news for you. Added Taiwanese language to emulation station, and that's thanks to Densha. So Densha, the Taiwanese people, thank you. And point number 3, add Daphne Hypsius controller config. Still need to fix rotation thanks to Morpheus. So when I said there's a sole developer working on this, they're kind of working on the firmware, but obviously there are people help them, and he usually credits them like he is in this case in the text file. And then 4, swapped retro arch menu toggle to L2 and R2. Okay, so that's interesting. So L2 and R2 will bring up your menu because most of the games, at least the games I'm playing, I'm not really using the shoulder button, so that's quite decent. Remember, you can change that yourself by going into RetroArch. The options are there, and you can save in RetroArch. To exit the game now, if it doesn't come in these notes, when I was doing it, you press the function key, you tap it twice, and it takes you out of the game, which I think is very, very handy. So point number 5, swapped retro. Oh, here we go. That's what I said. So point number 5 is just what I said. So swapped RetroArch quit to F. Must tap twice to use the hotkeys. Tap and hold, then use D-pad up and down for brightness, left and right for volume. The volume rocker still works as intended. So that's really, really handy when you've got your device and you're mid-game and I don't know, you just want to get the brightness or volume up and down. It's nice to be able to hold that function key down and use the D-pad to make those adjustments, which is well, it's awesome. 6, this one's really good. All Sega systems that need it have been remapped to use the 6-button config out of the box. And I tried playing Street Fighter Special Champion Edition, which is an excellent version of the game, and the buttons were just great out of the box. And that was one downside that I found, I would say a little bit a minor inconvenience, not even annoying, where on the Anbernic kind of the firmware you get with the device, when you use that, the buttons are as they kind of should be. And when going on to the earlier betas, beta 3, 4, 5, etc., I had to remap buttons for pretty much every game, or kind of had to save it to the core and then get into games. But there was a lot more configuration, and the way the betas are going, it looks as if, okay, so they've started with Sega, eventually they're going to move on to everything else, and I imagine other people may give Tech Toy Tinker Company a hand in kind of mapping everything correct. So once you're running it, and I imagine that will be in like the final release, you boot up Street Fighter, the buttons are the 6-button config. You boot up Neo Geo, the buttons are kind of as they should be based on what the default controllers were like. So really looking forward to that. I tried out some Sega games, I tried out Streets of Rage 2, Street Fighter, and the buttons they just worked. They were exactly how I would expect them to be, looking at the controller on the ARK S and how the controls were on the system. So 7, fixed issues loading exFAT SD2 cards. Regardless if you set up your SD2 as NTFS or exFAT, or if you use a copy to SD2 or the included zip for the folder structure, you will be required to run the switch to SD2 script in Systems Advanced to load your SD2 as your ROMs card. I done that. It's very, very straightforward to do that. But overall, guys, I'm really, really impressed with this. So be on the lookout for this. It should be out fairly soon. I just got an earlier version of this because I speak to Tech Toy Tinker Company, the main developer on this. He's a friend, and he said, hey, you want to test it out, and he gave me permission to do a video on it, and that's why I'm bringing it to you. So guys, that's really it for this video. I just wanted to let you know what's coming up. Keep an eye on Tech Toy Tinker Company's video channel. He'll be showcasing that firmware, no doubt, and hopefully Amazon will bring my cable today. So if I do any future videos on this, hopefully I can just have a direct feed, and I'm not dependent on British sunlight, because if I turn the light on in my room where I'm filming, I don't like the effect it kind of has. I feel it makes the image look a bit grainy. At least the camera I'm using works best with natural light. But that's it for this video, guys. Consider supporting the dev on Patreon if you're able to do so and you have the funds to able to do so. I appreciate not everyone's in that position to do so. But that's it. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then a subscription and a like is always super duper appreciated. This is Pixel Cherry Ninja out.